It's something we've all probably noticed at some point, right? Think about a 20-year high school reunion. Why do two people sharing the exact same birthday show up with completely different levels of vitality? There's this peculiar, almost frustrating unfairness to aging. One person is upright, their energy is totally vibrant, and they seem to just bounce back from whatever stress life throws at them. The other person? Well, with the exact same number of years on the clock, they seem weathered, like they're physically holding on to every single pressure they've ever endured. So why exactly does this happen?
For the longest time, we casually chalk this up to just having good genes, or worse, we unfairly judged people for, quote-unquote, letting themselves go. But modern science is actually telling us a much more precise and frankly a much more compassionate story. You see, the calendar counts our chronological age completely evenly. Everybody gets 365 days a year, but our biological age, the actual cellular state of our bodies, it doesn't experience those years equally. Biology doesn't just blindly count time, it records exactly how those years were metabolized.
And this brings us to a massive, central insight in aging science. Time matters, of course it does, but time never arrives empty. It comes completely packaged with our environment, our daily stress chemistry, the quality of our sleep, and the degree to which our nervous system actually believes life is safe and survivable. You literally cannot separate the aging of the body from the world that the body has had to endure.
Let's move to Section 1, the internal climate and the cost of readiness. We tend to think of our daily experiences as things that just happen, and then they fade away into the past. But they don't. They literally become a part of our physiology. Scientists actually have a specific term for this weight the body keeps carrying around, allostatic load. Basically, when life demands a sudden response, like say you have to sprint to catch a train or you're hit with a sudden work deadline, your heart rate shoots up, cortisol floods your system, and you shift into this state of intense readiness. In the short term, that's not a problem at all. Actually, it's brilliant survival intelligence. The issue only becomes a massive biological problem when that stress response never gets the signal to shut down.
So this brilliant survival intelligence quickly cascades from a superpower into a huge liability when life doesn't allow you to return to baseline. Step 1, a brief threat, is handled perfectly by the body. But in Step 2, when the nervous system gets stuck in chronic vigilance, that very adaptation meant to protect you actually starts to strain you. Your body just keeps paying this ongoing, massive energetic cost of being ready all the time, which brings us to Step 3. Your cellular systems get trapped in an environment of constant, draining demand. Accelerated aging, basically. This chronic demand creates what we can call a biological echo. Your conscious mind might totally try to normalize the stress. It might even bury past trauma, essentially telling itself, hey, I'm fine, this is just how life is. But guess what? The body is always listening. It manifests that unseen pressure through very real, highly measurable biological pathways. Your cortisol rhythms get completely thrown out of whack, systemic inflammation starts rising, your blood sugar regulation worsens, and your immune system loses its precision. So you might look totally calm and collected on the outside, but internally, your chemistry is screaming. To really picture how this works, we have to look at the groundbreaking work of researchers Elizabeth Blackburn and Elissa Epel on telomeres. Think of telomeres kind of like those little plastic caps at the ends of your shoelaces that keep them from fraying apart. While Blackburn and Epel showed that highly stressed individuals actually suffer from shortened telomeres. This is profound stuff. It proves, without a doubt, that chronic stress isn't just an emotional state or something that's all in your head. It's a literal physical force that visibly frays the edges of our cellular biology.
The big takeaway here is that defense is incredibly expensive for the human body. When we look at the science, we absolutely have to approach it with deep compassion. Think about it. A body that has been shaped by early adversity, trauma, or just ongoing relentless hardship simply requires a lot more intentional safety and targeted recovery to reach the exact same baseline of health that someone else might just take completely for granted. Aging science without compassion really is just another form of judgment.
All right, Section 2, the repair deficit, sleep, metabolism, and the nightly return.
So how do we actually counteract that expensive biological defense? Well, we need to look at what happens when the body is finally allowed to let its guard down. And that starts with the ultimate biological repair state, sleep. Modern culture loves to treat sleep as this negotiable luxury, or sometimes even a sign of weakness. But just look at this data. Blackburn and Epel's research associates chronic sleep deprivation, and they specifically mean 5 hours or fewer a night, directly with shortened telomeres and a massive loss in repair capacity. Sleep isn't passive. While you're sleeping, your body's hard at work clearing metabolic waste, balancing blood sugar, and repairing tissues.
Sachin Panda's incredible work on circadian rhythms shows us that when this nightly repair window is chronically stolen from us, our entire system is just left vulnerable and utterly depleted.
When our sleep is broken, our circadian timing totally misfires. And that brings us to a really critical concept called inflammaging. Researchers Franceschi and Campisi highlight how chronic, low-grade systemic inflammation is a major central driver of age-related decline. Basically, when you're chronically exhausted and stressed, metabolic dysfunction sets in. Visceral fat can start accumulating around your organs, and here's the truly wild part: it doesn't just sit there like inactive baggage. It acts like an active endocrine organ. It actually pumps out inflammatory molecules in this vicious, self-sustaining cycle.
Honestly, this perfectly explains why simplistic wellness advice is often so incredibly frustrating. If you tell an exhausted, highly stressed person to just eat better and hit the gym, it usually fails. Why? Because a body in defense is energetically strained, it's insulin resistant, and it's inflamed. If your sleep is broken and your nervous system is locked in defense mode, your entire system is trying to negotiate health from a state of total absolute depletion. Repair requires a sequence, guys. A body that cannot rest simply cannot rebuild.
Moving on to Section 3, the external climate and the world under the skin.
So far, we've mostly talked about the internal workings of the body. We usually treat aging as this totally private, individual issue, but the boundary between our bodies and the outside world is highly, highly porous. There are invisible accelerants of aging all around us. We're talking fine particulate air pollution, heavy metals, living in a neighborhood that lacks safety, the constant, grinding financial precarity of not knowing how you'll make rent, noise pollution, unpredictable shift work. These environmental toxins and socioeconomic strains make aging a profound justice issue. People with fewer resources are exposed to far more biological burdens. And since the body absorbs these burdens over time, unequal environments literally, physically translate into unequal, accelerated aging conditions.
Now, this next one is genuinely mind-blowing: the biology of belonging. As Dr. Gabor Mate highlights, human isolation isn't just sad emotionally, it is interpreted by the nervous system as a literal physical danger. The field of psychoneuroimmunology shows us that social threat and isolation actually upregulate pro-inflammatory immune genes. Loneliness physically pushes your body toward an inflammatory state. Why? Because evolutionarily speaking, being separated from your tribe meant you were in imminent, life-threatening danger. Belonging and connection are not just nice emotional bonuses, they are absolute biological imperatives. So you can have two people who both live for 50 years. But one person's 50 years might be shaped by safety, clean air, stable care, and really deep connection. The other person's 50 years, it might be metabolized through constant danger, pollution, sleep deprivation, and isolation. The calendar counts 50 years for both of them, but make no mistake, the body knows the difference. Biologically speaking, those are absolutely not the same 50 years.
And finally, Section 4, a new way to age and the return to baseline.
So while we obviously can't perfectly control everything about our genetics or our environment, just acknowledging this reality gives us a much more intelligent, precise, and practical form of hope. When we ask this core question now, why do some people age faster, we realize we're actually asking a completely different question. We're really asking, why have some bodies been forced to spend so much of their lives trapped in expensive defense rather than being allowed to exist in restorative repair? But here is the good news. Because our biology is beautifully plastic, we can shift the ledger. Prioritizing repair isn't about being perfect, it's about sequence. By fiercely protecting your sleep as your foundational repair state, by fostering even small pockets of meaningful social belonging to signal safety to your nervous system, and by reducing metabolic strain, you can gradually shift your body's internal climate. And at a macro level, advocating for equitable environments ensures everyone has access to the conditions required for healthy aging. But truly, it all starts with approaching your own health with deep self-compassion.
And I want to leave you with this really powerful thought. Some people begin to age completely differently the very moment survival is no longer the only story their biology is allowed to tell. Take a second to think about your own ledger of biological conditions right now. How can you begin to shift your daily environment, even in just small, simple ways, from one of constant, expensive survival into a space of genuine biological repair?
Thank you for watching. If something in this resonated with you, then you're already closer than you think. If you're ready to go deeper, there's a link below to my book, The Survival Self: How Childhood Adaptation Becomes Adult Identity, and How to Finally Live Beyond It. This isn't theory, it's a framework you can actually use. Tap the link below and step into it.